Hi there, Matt Lairden again with the Market Mindset Podcast. Today, we had the honor and privilege of talking to Dan Douglas. He's out of Altoona, Iowa, with Green Beret Realty, as the name suggests, retired military Green Beret. If I was to move to Iowa and I'm in the real estate business, undoubtedly I would hire Dan to represent me either in the purchase of a property or listing a property. Jokingly, we talked about how working a territory and knocking on doors in real estate's a lot different, a lot easier than knocking on doors and working a territory as a Green Beret. A great individual, and it's just an honor and a privilege to talk to Dan. We get to do what we do because of the brave people like Dan. So again, welcome Dan Douglas, Green Beret Realty, out of Altoona, Iowa.
Hey, I'm just really excited to have Dan Douglas with us. He's with Agency Iowa, in Iowa, not to be confused with the town Agency Iowa. And just glad to have him aboard. He's a newer agent. He's getting a lot of success there in Iowa. But before we start, and I get a little choked up, thank you for your service to our country. It's land of the free because of brave people like you. So just a little shout out for your service.
Yeah, I
Much
appreciate that.
appreciated. Much appreciated. All right. Talk to me about your business. How long you been in business? What are you doing? What's working? What are some of the challenges, obstacles that you're overcoming out there in Iowa?
Yeah, so I mean, new to business, right? We talked a little bit beforehand. I've been doing this just under a year now. I think I'm right about that 10-month mark, and it's going well. Honestly, it's been a lot of time talking to clients, finding clients. That was the thing I was really worried about because I did just retire from the military this spring, and while I was on terminal leave, for those that don't know, that's basically like vacation until you waste whatever days you have stored up that you've been in the military with. That's when I started my business. So I was coming back and reestablishing friendships, reestablishing, family networks and trying to tell them all, hey, I'm doing this real estate thing. So trying to let everybody know I was going to do this and be serious about it. It took a little while to kind of actually build some rapport and kind of reestablish those friendships, but it's going well now. So
Great. What's your business plan? Where are you finding business? Do you have a niche that you're specializing in right now?
yeah, well, so Green Beret Realty is the name of my company. I retired Army. I was a Green Beret. A lot of that is network building, but that's an easy clientele to go find too. So finding those active duty personnel that were local. We don't have an active duty post here. So I'm not
Okay.
competing with a bunch of other Army and military retirees who are all in real estate, all trying to do the same thing. I just went straight to those recruiting stations, knocked on the door, and walked in with the full on retirement beard growing on my face, and basically said, "Hey guys, I'm in real estate. This is what I do now. I just retired. If you guys are looking to buy or sell a home, let me know. Like I'll take care of you. Give them a little bit of an incentive there, some rebates and stuff on that too. Just trying to say, hey, I'm trying to get some business. If you guys will give me a chance to get some experience, I'll make sure I take care of you guys."
So
So
you came in and just out front. I'm recently retired. My second career is now real estate. Love to help you in any way possible. I mean, straight up front, honest, forthcoming,
yep.
and
And it helps that I know their movement cycle, right? So I know that they're going to get orders every few years. I know that they've got to come and go. And so I know that if they bought here, that they're going to have to sell. And so hey, I know this can be an expensive process. You're being forced to move every 3 to 4 years, usually on the minimum. So I'm going to step in and just say, hey, let me try to help cut you guys a deal, save you guys some money, make this a little bit more of a, value producing, relationship for us. And then if you give me that, I get experience. That's an opportunity for me to go back and share with my other clientele or other networks. Hey, I'm doing real estate, right? I am getting deals. I am selling homes. I am helping people buy homes. So I'm using that, right? I'm leveraging as much of that as possible to try to help grow that
I
business. So
love that. I love that. I mean, I love the saying there's riches and niches. And don't expand your net, don't expand your niche. And so you found this nice little niche where you've built rapport, you have commonality, and I just can tell you're just a wholesome I mean, just honest upfront guy, which is so refreshing. You're authentic, you're organic. What you see is what you get. And that's just awesome. What As a new agent, what percentage of your business is listings versus buy side representation, buyer representation?
I'm glad you sent me that question beforehand because I hadn't really thought about it. So of my actual closings that have happened, it's 75% that are listings, and that's only 4 deals, right? I've only had one buyer that I've helped to get to closing. Now
Right.
I've got 3 scheduled closings right now, all through the month of October. Every single one of those is a buyer side. But I have 3 other listings that are currently on the market that I'm looking for buyers for. And then I'm talking to 3 other clients right now. One of those will be a listing, the other 2 will be buy side. So I'm about 50-50. I lean a little bit more to the listing side, but if I look at what's under contract right now, it's actually leaning about 60% towards the buyers in terms of
Right.
what's scheduled for closing. So
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that's how you get your foot in the door. That's how there's a little less pressure when you're representing a buyer, and then, but what you get that experience, and every transaction just adds knowledge, experience, confidence, to our real estate business. And I love that about it. Um, your niche there, like you said, about 60-40, 50-50 buy side versus listing side. The old saying is, list to last and have other people sell your listings for you. But I mean, to be this young in the business, this new in the business, and have that balance, that's amazing. That's just
yeah.
really, really powerful. I
Well,
got to
and so I
believe
would say
that.
I started probably beginning of December in 23. That
Oh,
was I
gee.
officially like I officially aligned with my broker. I didn't get my first client until February, and I got them closed in May. So really from May now through October, I'm looking at 7 closings, and I've already got, a few more clients that I think I'll probably get closed up before the end of November or maybe mid-December. So I mean, it's kind of a nice place to be right now, honestly.
I absolutely. I mean, you're coming out of the gates hot. I mean, and going for it. That congratulations. And again, it's a tough business. A lot of competition out there. But I was reading the other day, like 43% of all real estate agents last year didn't have one transaction. I mean, and my feeling has always been, and I tell our clients this, um, you've got to be committed. This isn't, I'm interested in real estate. I'm committed. And clients sense that this isn't a hobby. This is your livelihood. This is how we put bread on the table, food on the table for our families and help out our friends and families, etc. There's all this talk out there. We got to address sort of the elephant in the room, this whole NAR, DOJ, signing this
Yeah.
buy side agreement. I mean, I don't get me started on NAR because that
Yeah.
will go down the rabbit hole. And
I am fortunate, right, that I am newer. So a lot of the changes and stuff were all I was new. The whole industry is new to me. I'm learning real estate as I'm going. So a lot of these changes, they were talking about them in February, March before they even really came to fruition. And so I had a lot of time to kind of adjust what I was doing while I was getting my first client under a listing. So thinking through the process, being transparent with my clients hasn't really been an issue. And I'm again fortunate that I'm new in that I think where the biggest change that I've noticed in some of the more senior agents is they almost feel like they're being forced to be transparent, even though most of those that I work with in my office have all been transparent anyway. Like they're like, it really hasn't changed anything. They just feel like they're being kind of forced to do what they were already doing anyway.
right,
Um, without getting into the politics of that,
I
decision
agree.
between the DOJ, right? Like
Right,
I think a lot of that was much ado about nothing,
I
where
right there
yeah,
with you.
they're mad about us splitting commissions, but like you promised to pay me 6% to sell your home, and all I'm doing is telling that buyer agent if he came to me, I'd give him half of that, right, to bring that in. So like you already promised to pay. Whether what I do with my money that you already offered to pay me is should be irrelevant, right?
Right, right,
Um,
right.
but yeah, so
Right.
again, I don't know why it became such a big issue. I'm new, so I'm cool. I'm here now, and nothing really changed for me. I just got to learn kind of on the fly as the changes were happening. I'm super glad that I didn't have to go through a big adjustment.
Right.
But yeah, that's where it's been for me. It hasn't been that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's a slight pivot. It's putting a piece of paper in front of your client, showing it to the listing agent, going, "Yeah, I've got the official ability to represent this client on the buy side." And if we keep our clients' interest first, everything, the financial remuneration takes care of itself.
Yep,
And
and that's where
and
that
here you
integrity
go.
comes through. You mentioned earlier just being honest and just being a person of it. Like I didn't have to do anything. I was already being overly transparent, maybe too much information for my clients initially because I was just afraid of like I don't want to let you think I'm going to do something I'm not going to do. So I'm
Right.
not going to try to, gloss over anything or lie to you. Like I'm just going to be fully transparent about what I do and don't know. And where I don't know, I've got other agents that are senior that I can ask these questions, and that's also why I'm cutting you this rebate, right? Because I'm looking for that opportunity to do this, sell your home quickly, and save you a bunch of money, and then let me learn, right?
I'll tell you, if I was
So
moving to Iowa, you'd be the first person I'd call. I'll tell you, I
nice.
love that. I mean, what you see is what you get. the transparency. I tell newer agents, when they say, well, what do I, how do I overcome that I'm new in the business? I tell them, tell your potential clients, I've got 3 abilities: availability, reliability, and accountability. I'm available. I'll make myself available to you. I'm reliable. When I tell you I'm gonna get something done, I get it done. And accountability, and it's a two-way street. I'm accountable to you, but you're accountable to me. If I reach out to you, I need you to get back to me. And then the best part is, if I don't have the answer, I'll tell you, but I promise you I know someone that will.
Right.
There we go.
Yep.
Okay, let's
Same
talk
thing in the
about.
Army. We used to do it for promotion boards all the time. We used to tell people, if you don't know the answer, tell Sergeant Major you're going to find the answer, right?
Right.
Like if you don't know where it's at in the regulation and he's asking you a question that's over your head, like tell him I will find it. But then you better get out of that board, go find the answer and bring it back to Sergeant Major, right? Like
There we
same
go.
type of thing here. Yep. You're my boss. As my client, you are basically leading this train, and all I'm doing is informing you as much as possible about what we can do, how I can, better facilitate that for you. And then if I don't have the answer, I'm going to go find it. Right. So,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and you just I just sense your joy. You're passionate about this business. You're upfront. If people are moving to Iowa, and I got to be careful. When people move to Iowa, just overall, maybe not necessarily in your specific real estate practice, where are people moving from to come to Iowa?
yeah. So I think based on what I've been able to glean, most of the people who are coming to Iowa are coming from surrounding states. So we're
Okay,
talking Nebraska, Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin. I mean, most of the people are coming here from there. But most of my clientele are coming from other duty stations, right? So you get a lot in the Southeast. You get some West Coast folks coming in, occasionally the East Coast folks. Most of my clientele are coming from there.
right.
And that's just been because I know those people coming in. I'm talking to those recruiting stations. I'm talking to them and, hey, you got a new NCO coming in who's going to be a recruiter here in the Des Moines area. Like, can I get his phone number? Just reach out, talk to him. And if he or she isn't looking to buy a home, okay, can I help you find somebody to rent? Right? Like, I just let me facilitate you getting in here, getting situated, and then I'm going to be the one who's bringing coffee to you once a month. I'm going to stop by, drop off some donuts. Maybe I'll buy you guys a lunch occasionally. Just keeping my foot in the door and letting them know I'm here to help you guys. So
Yeah, watch out for those West Coast people, those left coast people. I'm out. I'm one of them. I went and visited some family in Texas, in Austin. They said, don't bring your California values to our Texas because you're not going to last long.
yeah, well, I'm in a flyover state, right? That's how most of the East and West Coasters refer to us as, and I
Yeah.
would prefer that most outsiders continue to treat it that way. You guys just fly on over and leave us alone, right? We'll take care of ourselves. We're
We're
good-hearted
good.
people.
We're
Yeah, we
good.
don't need some of that East West Coast stuff coming in here. So
Yeah. Um, I, we'll talk. How's your social media presence, if at all?
yeah, so I'm on all of the socials, as the kids would say these days. I'm not very good at it, honestly, and I primarily focus on Facebook and X. I'm more familiar with them. I already had kind of a personal presence there anyway, just for updates on news and staying in touch with family. So I preferred those ones because they're easier for me. I'm not great with the video stuff. I'm not great with digitally changing content, and I'm trying to kind of play with it a little bit, see if I can get better. But I'm there. I haven't gotten a single client from social media though.
Right.
So I'm trying to keep focusing my efforts on what is producing clients, like what is bringing me leads, where are they coming from, and why would I focus my efforts on trying to build a Facebook presence or promote my Facebook advertisement when I'm getting all of my leads from going and knocking on doors and shaking people's hands and talking to them face to face. So I've started focusing more on those network events. How many times can I get in front of people? How many times can I just get a chance to talk to you, get to know you? If that's at church, whether that's a business networking event, like I've just decided, you know what, I'm just going to go be present and just talk to people. And then eventually somebody says, hey, we were thinking about, selling a house. And you're like, by the way, I'm in real estate. Like, how can I do that for you? Right. So,
Right. Right. I love
yeah.
it. And you said it, revenue generating activities, income generating activities. And, some people build their whole business around social media. Some of them don't even have a Facebook, Instagram, Reddit account. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm old school too. My daughters really pushed me, Dad, you've got to do more YouTube videos. I don't know how to do. I just jumped in, started doing it. And,
Yeah.
and fun part about what I get to do in this is I get to meet incredible individuals like yourself all across the country that are sharing with me what's working in their business. And you're just
Yeah.
grassroots, you're out there. I mean, some your background, obviously, you've been in a lot more intimidating situations than knocking on. You might be knocking on someone's door, but it's not to get a listing in your
Yeah.
previous career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we used to joke about it too, but even as a, as you get into being a, we call it enlisted, like non-commissioned officer, and then as an officer, you're required to stand up in front of groups, and sometimes those can be pretty intimidating. You've got a colonel who's an expert on the region, and he's asking you to brief on a plan, and you're, a junior E6 or E7, and you're just like, I am one part of this plan, and he's about to ask me a bunch of questions that I don't know if I'm prepared to do. And then after you've kind of pulled that band-aid off a couple times, you're like, it's not that big a deal. He's human, right? I can go up there. If I embarrass myself, I just go, I'm sorry, sir, I'm an idiot. And we move on.
Right.
Like you get to that point where it's just, you just pull that band-aid off and talking to people is not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, those colonels, guess what? I've experienced this with people, in really big in their own careers. They get up, they put their pants on the same way. They've got the relationship challenges, the children challenges. We all, at the end of the day, are have more in common than not, and that's just a great
Absolutely.
way. And again, how you just come at this and approach it heads up and 100% transparency, authentic, organic self, so refreshing, so refreshing. And a lot of these new agents, they think they're going to make their whole business by social media ads. It doesn't
Yeah.
work that way. It doesn't
Yep.
work that way. And some of the old school thinking, do you include calling for sale by owners, expired listings, neighbors have just listed, just sold, or is that not in your wheelhouse?
So I started like when I first started in the business, right? Like you heard about it on podcasts like this, you heard about it on some other, I won't mention names, but there's other
Yeah,
podcasts that, hey, you need to do these, or these like, hey, for sale by owners, or these, expired listings, call these people, how to follow up with them, how to try to get that business. I spent weeks calling people endlessly and got zero results. And so I just eventually said, you know what? Maybe I'll come back to this in a little while, but I need to find a client. How am I going to find that client? And
yeah,
of course, the first one I found was me going in and talking to somebody, and I'd already spoken to this individual. He was a Navy recruiter getting ready to leave. Great dude. But he was leaving for Texas and he had just gotten orders. And I just happened to be walking back in that day just to be like, hey guys, don't forget I'm in the business. And he's like, man, how fortuitous that you stopped by today, right? Like, I want to list and I want to do now. And I had to go compete to get his listing. He had already talked to another agent too, but he hadn't signed anything yet. And I stole it out. I just ripped it out from under that other agent and just said, no, I'm going to do this. Give me the chance to sell your home for you, man. And he did. And I'm super grateful. That first one, it's like, this is his G.I. Joe, right? Because he gave me a little Navy G.I. Joe back
love
here
it.
as kind of just a gift saying, hey, thank you. But I saved him, 66% on his potential listing cost. And it was all just a cost that I said, this is my payment to give me that experience, give me the
Yeah,
opportunity to do this for you, and just let's knock it out of the park. So
that's great. And you know what? Congratulations for you going in. And two, hey, the other agent, you didn't get them to sign when you had the opportunity, and you came in, swept it up. I mean, I hate to do all these, parables, analogies, or metaphors, but success happens. Success happens when preparation meets opportunity, and those dissect, cross section for you, and you got the deal. Outside of real estate, when you're not out there hustling and grinding, what are you doing for fun?
I fun. I've got 3 kids. My fun is pretty much all absorbed in just getting them to and from bed and, through the day without, having anybody get hurt or killed in the process.
You got three.
No, I
That's
love to read. Yeah, I love to read. I watch football on the weekend. So, this is my time of the year, the fall. I get to just enjoy turning on games on Saturdays and the occasional games on Sundays, but mostly read. I like to just have that quiet time and sit down and just with a good book and open it up
sort
and
of
get through it. So,
decompress a little bit. What's up? What's
yeah.
on your reading list right now? What are you into?
Yeah. Well, you're going to be bored by this one. And I was too. So I had to break it up. I break them up anyway. Like I read a nonfiction. I call them potato chips. I squeeze into fiction. And I go back to a nonfiction. I squeeze in another fiction. But I
I love
started my
potato
non.
chips.
Yeah, I love them. They're just the Oreo sandwich, the cream right in the middle. The problem is I started, it's the history of the church
Okay.
in 8 volumes. And I realized after the first volume that I had like 200 plus hours left of reading. So what I've started doing is I started doing like few chapters at a time, and then I sandwich in a nonfiction, and then
Okay.
I'll do a few more chapters and I sandwich in a fiction. So I just have like been proceeding to work through that one while reading a couple others. I just finished oh, what was the name of it? It's gonna be oh, the Moral Case for Fossil Fuels by Alex Epstein. That was the nonfiction one. And then I read some more of the history of the church, and then I went back to I'm reading an Iron Druid series right now for my
Wow, so
fiction
some heavy
series.
reading there.
Yeah, yeah, it's been some fun ones. My nonfiction are usually kind of in the economic, political stuff, but occasionally I'll read something in the science spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah, but most of my nonfiction stuff is just fun. Whatever I can find that's just going to be entertaining. And the Iron Druid series was recommended by a friend.
I
So
love that. Just to get away a little escape. Just, I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm reading a book by Rick Rubin, and then I'll go, like you said, I'll do like financial fiction or,
yeah,
financial nonfiction. There's some great books out there. I'm right now, I'm reading The Innovation Stack by Jim McKelvey. Get in, but like you, I can do a chapter or two, and then I go, okay, let me digest that and get over some fiction out there. Who's been instrumental? Who's been a big influence in your real estate career so far?
well, the cop out answer would be my broker, right?
Okay,
Mark Charter. He's the broker. It's a smaller brokerage agency, Iowa, but he's been phenomenal. A great mentor, great sounding board for me to just kind of bounce ideas off of. And then I have a mentor agent, a more senior agent inside the brokerage too, who I work with kind of hand in hand. If I have any questions, I field them through him first. But open door with my broker. A lot of larger brokerages, you don't have that freedom to just walk in their office. If he's in the office, I literally can just go sit down across the desk and just what are we going to talk about, Mark? It's phenomenal. And I get to keep 100% of my commissions. So pitch for any Iowa agents out there that want to, realign brokerages or at least talk to Mark about potential there. But outside of that, honestly, it wasn't real estate. I'm newer to real estate.
right.
It was entrepreneurship, marketing, and guys that people don't necessarily pigeonhole. He's a podcast host, but he's a historian. He covers a lot of current events, but his name's Tom Woods. But he
Okay,
does entrepreneurial stuff on the side. And so he's kind of done like he set up a school program. He set up a lot of other online education stuff. He's got different forums that he's kind of run as an entrepreneur, and he's big into marketing. So I'm part of his email list, and I see his marketing campaigns, and it's been great reading that. And another one in libertarian circles is Jason Stapleton, who was
okay.
phenomenal in just walking me through the idea of like, no, you need to have a list of people. You need to have that, and you got to bounce you back to that, and you sales funnels and all the marketing stuff that they talk about. Well, it doesn't all apply directly to real estate, but the concept of marketing, the concept of networking, all of that stuff is there. And they all got me kind of over the last few years of my Army career, kind of in that mindset of, you know what, I'm not just going to go apply for some corporate job somewhere to work at a desk and do what I'm told. I'm not just going to go put on my white collar and type on a computer for somebody else. I'm going to go hang my own shingles somewhere and I'm going to try to do something on my own. And so they were the ones that kind of built that groundwork for me and kind of started pushing me that direction, despite them. They don't know me. They don't know anything about me. But just listening to them and reading their emails and stuff, they really got me sold on trying to do something more entrepreneurial. So
And I mean, this is about as entrepreneurial as you can get. You're responsible for your own, health insurance plan. You're responsible for your own marketing, your own, compliance. I mean, this is about as entrepreneurial as you can get. Unlimited income opportunity,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Unlimited,
yeah,
and
the potential's awesome.
yeah, it is. And again, circling back to being authentic, organic, your real self, you're going to attract like-minded people into your business. And again, that niche, riches, there's riches and niches, and it sounds like you've really established one there. So for the California kid who's got 18 different sports teams, California kid, I'm old adult now. What pro sports do you guys people in Iowa watch?
Okay, so we're all NFL fans, but you'll have a spectrum of different, teams that we all follow or list or watch or anything like that. Like there's a majority of, I would say, Vikings, Packer fans. You
Okay,
get some Kansas City Chiefs fans and stuff like that too.
right.
But I'm not gonna lie, there's quite a growing spectrum of 49er fans here in the state of Iowa. Well, because you got Brock Purdy as the starting quarterback, and he
Oh,
was the starting quarterback at Iowa State University as a Cyclone. And you got George Kittle as one of his main targets at tight end, and he was a University of Iowa tight end. So
oh,
two prominent players on the same team, both from the state of Iowa. So I think there's a much larger contingent of Niner fans than there probably was a few years ago. There were a few. I know a guy from high school who loved the Niners when he was growing up and
Yeah,
here in the area. But yeah, I think there's a growing contingent now that we're watching some of our local products here from college go on and play in the NFL.
there we go. I
And
mean,
you get we enjoy all of the sports. It's just that there's not like a hey, we're all Vikings fans. It's really just depends on where you're at in the state. I think most of the east side kind of likes the Packers, and you get some Bears fans across the place, and most of the north likes the Vikings, and
right.
you're kind of all over. But
But the circling back to Brock Purdy, what a story.
yeah,
How
awesome.
how composed. I mean, I'm down in the LA market, so we were sort of Rams and Raiders, and now the Chargers are up here. But I'll tell you, we were rooting for the 49ers in the Super Bowl. And
Yeah,
Brock Purdy, what a solid guy. Stepped
yeah,
in, his draft story is amazing.
yeah.
Cool, calm, collected. Yeah, we were all rooting for him. He just gave those damn Chiefs too much time at the end of the game last year.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, no, I think I would tell you, like most people outside of Iowa State probably didn't give him much of a chance, but other than a few, head scratching plays that he had in college, most of us were like, if anybody from Iowa State is going to stick in the NFL at that position, it's got to be this guy. I mean, he was the best that we ever had.
Uh,
He set all the school records for the position. I mean, he was phenomenal. And we got a
yeah.
pretty good one now behind him, but he's only a sophomore. So, we'll see where
Right,
it
right,
goes.
right. I hate to. I mean, I think I is Iowa still known as the wrestling capital of the country? I mean, you
I
guys,
don't know who's going to be the wrestling capital. Man, I would Pennsylvania would probably make a claim for that. Oklahoma would probably have, tried to claim it too.
right,
I still think it's my state. I still think it's Iowa here. I didn't wrestle in high school and I regret it. I probably should have. I wasn't much of a basketball player, but I tried basketball instead. So,
right. So hey, let's we're gonna wrap it up here.
okay.
People moving to Iowa. People wanted, maybe not getting the support. So one more thing, real quick. Agents, in my opinion, focus too much on commission split.
Yeah.
What's my payout going to be? And I always say, don't look at the payout. Now, you've got a great payout, but look at the support, the culture, the training, the management, all of that. And it sounds like you've got sort of the unicorn of real estate offices. And how great is
I
that?
do.
So if they want to get a hold of you, they're thinking about changing real estate companies, thinking about buying in Iowa. Tell us how we get a hold of you.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially if you're trying to buy here, call me, right? You can call me at my number, just check my website. It's on there. So it's greenberetrealty.com. If you just want to email me or start that conversation, you can Dan at greenberetrealty.com. But man, if you can also just go to agencyiowa.com. Honestly, take a look through there. You can see the agents who are currently aligned with our office. You can call Mark directly, especially if you're an agent looking to make that transition or just come into the area. If you're not even in Iowa, but you're moving here and you want to continue doing real estate here in the state, I highly recommend working with us. Mark is phenomenal, and it's been a great office. It's been a great opportunity for me. Any buyers, sellers, anything like that, of course, I'm here. And if I
We're
don't
going to
have the
send them
answer for
your
you, again,
way.
I'll get you somewhere else, right? I will find somebody to help you.
There we
So,
go. I love that. What we're going to do, we're going to wrap this up, but I'm going to put all your contact information when I sort of wrap this I got to call it a donut and intro, then the meat of the interview, which we did, and the podcast, and I'll have your contact information. How refreshing, enjoyable. Thanks again for your service to our country. You're gonna do amazing things there, and I just can't wait to see your progress. And we'll connect again and see how you're doing.
yeah, I almost forgot to talk about like big audacious goal, right? Like that was one of those things that I learned through some of the marketing stuff. It was like set a goal, and I told them all when I first started I didn't have a single client yet, and I was like, my goal is to get 20. And I had just done some back of the napkin math, like average price point, and kind of like here's my goal of where I want to be, and if I can get there, then I would consider this, great success. I shouldn't have set it as a first year goal if I was trying to reach it,
Right,
because that was that's my goal to like I don't have to work anywhere else or do any other jobs. But
right,
I set it at 20 clients, and I've had a couple larger clients, and so I started realizing, wow, I didn't really need 20. I needed like 12, and
right,
I'm almost there. I might even get it in my first year because it was like a commission goal, not really a client goal. I had just done the math and thought it needed that many clients, and I was wrong. So
right. I love that.
yeah,
I always tell agents we don't control the environment that we're in as far as price points. I mean, we've got 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 50-year-old homes in my neighborhood that are going for $1 million. I
Yep.
mean, crazy. I always say focus on transactions and everything takes care of itself. Personally, I'd rather have 5 $200,000 listings than $1 million listing because the referrals that come from that. But you've got it. You know, begin with the end in mind is one of Stephen Covey's principles. You know where you want to go. If you know where you want to go, you're going to create a pathway. If you don't know where you want to go, any road will get you there. So you've got it wrapped up. I love it. I love it. We're going to wrap it up here. I'm going to check in with you in a couple months, see how you're doing for all the people out there, Green Beret Realty. Go hit them up.
Thanks, Matt.
Take care. Talk to you soon.